Well, I guess I should talk about it. I've put it off long enough. Arsenal and Aston Villa, which Aston Villa, like, I never look forward to games against Aston Villa. They, alongside Newcastle, are a club that just constantly terrorizes Arsenal. Um, like, Emery has set up Aston Villa in a way that they do really well, but I think also something about the Villa setup is really good specifically against Arsenal. Um, so Villa always tends to do well when they play us. I know we beat them at Villa Park this season, but we were actually somewhat fortunate, I think, in that game. Um, it's a frustrating one because there's actually a lot of positives I can take from this. Um, I was kind of expecting a fairly boring game where Arsenal just couldn't find an offensive spark at all. It actually was a lot more open than I ever thought it was going to be. Uh, I thought it was going to be a dogfight where if we wanted, be like 1-0 and, a real struggle to get that result. It wasn't quite like that. Certainly in the first half, we were doing really well. Martinelli did well. Trossard got some nice crosses in, including on the goals. Uh, Martinez, the goalkeeper for Villa, always does very well. And we managed to beat him once. A very tough one for Martinez because it only just went over the line, Martinelli's goal. But in the first half, things were going really well, and there were a lot of things I was happy with because rather than struggling to put together anything in attack, we actually looked pretty good. And that was what I was wanting to see from Arsenal is more creative, uh, like a more creative performance where we actually have chances and take goals. And when we scored that second goal, I thought we were on our way to a nice controlled victory. And whilst controlled victories aren't the most exciting thing, they're fun to watch when uh, you're watching your team get a controlled victory because then it's not very stressful and you just you've been the better side in the match, you've done enough to win, and I thought we were going to cruise to a 2-0 victory after the Havertz goal. Everything seemed to be going our way, and then Aston Villa woke up and it was a completely different game. Um, I imagine that Emery must have made some tweaks at halftime because the attack for Aston Villa didn't have that much of a bite to it in the first half. Um, it seemed fairly evident that Watkins had been given instructions to uh, to go high up the pitch and stay there. So he often got the ball when Villa were trying to put together a counter attack, but he was the only one who was staying high up the pitch, which meant that when he did get the ball, he was fairly isolated and didn't get any support. So Arsenal's defense didn't really struggle that much with him. Uh, he seemed to get more support in the second half, and all of a sudden Villa looked really threatening on the counter attack, and they got two goals, one off a counter attack and one off a free kick that came from a counter attack. I mean, it was a cleared free kick, but still. It's frustrating not to have Saliba. Apparently, he might be out longer than just a game now. That's just another injury to a key player. We've had so many of those this season, um, which is really annoying. One can wonder if that second goal would have got in if Saliba were on the pitch because Partey did a really bad job of covering Watkins, and it was a brilliant cross, no doubt, but Partey really should have done a better job covering Watkins, and he didn't, and so it was a pretty easy goal for him to score. But he did a good job to do the positioning, and in all fairness, both goals Villa scored were uh, off really nice plays and really good crosses. Um, but that's frustrating because it all seemed to be going our way, and it's like it finally felt like a win that, like a comfortable win, a nice, controlled, comfortable win. And then in a heartbeat, Aston Villa turned on the Jets and never looked back. The third goal is also kind of unfortunate. I was really upset at first because I thought it hadn't hit Averett's hands and that went off his chest upon the replay, even though his hand was tucked in and kind of bounced off his elbow and then his chest and into the goal. And there's a decent chance that if the shot had just hit his chest, it might still have ended up in the goal because it kind of wrong-footed uh, wrong-footed Martinez, who was diving one way and then it took a deflection off Havertz and went another way. So nothing Martinez could have done about that. But it has to be called off. That's just like it hit his hand, so or hit his arm. So yeah, that can't count. And we shouldn't have been in that position. I mean, again, it's really annoying because I actually really liked how he played for a lot of this, and it did feel a bit more like watching the Arsenal of last season with a nice, kind of just cruising to a nice victory in the end, where we were made to work for it, but ultimately got the goals that we needed. But maybe some tactical changes at halftime. Aston Villa just going in clutch in the second half, and it doesn't happen. What annoys me is I actually think that we might have had a better game than Liverpool did, uh, title race wise. Um, Liverpool last season got a lot more wins like that where they would get late last minute winners. And my view on games like that is that it can show off resilience, but also games where you win in the last minute tend to hide weakness. So the fact that Liverpool took 90 minutes to score against Brentford, I'd say is more of a weakness than a strength, and yet they'll still come away from this weekend very happy, I'm sure. Uh, because Arsenal didn't do, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just a frustrating thing. Um, and Liverpool's 10 points. I mean, they're 7 points ahead, but again, I'm just treating the game in hand like they're going to win it because I assume they will. And they haven't been perfect, especially in the past month. And that's why I keep saying it's really frustrating that we haven't really punished them for it. And I thought we were going to keep things going tonight, and then it just didn't happen. And as, like, happy as I am with a lot of the stuff I saw, it's still annoying that it has ended up this way. And just hecking Aston Villa. No, I never enjoy playing Aston Villa. They're just one of those teams, and every club has certain teams that they really struggle to beat, and Aston Villa is certainly one of those teams for Arsenal. So yeah, it's just a really frustrating game because I thought that there was a lot we did well, and then it didn't end up with anything. So yeah, disappointing.